Day of the Tentacle. Now, this game came out just as I was starting college, but I didn't get to play it until about 2 years later. And that's mainly because, well, my computer wasn't 100% up to date. But it was a fun little game to play once I had the abilities to play it. And given I had played Maniac Mansion prior to it, I was already familiar with some of the scenarios and the characters that are in it. Now it's set after after Maniac Mansion. It can be safely assumed that it is within the range of a year or so. However, it's a little bit meta when you think about it because of how some things are set up. Apparently, everything that happened in the first game was actually happened and turned into an adventure game. But they didn't make enough money off of it. There was some mistakes with the royalties, all because Dr. Fred didn't send back the contract in time. Also, things were happening that the tentacles were becoming a bit more sentient, more aggressive. Well, one of them was. The other one was still timid and all that. And it fit with the somewhat basically set forth of what they were like. And it opens in comedic fashion. You know, everything in front of the place is pristine and perfect. Meanwhile, behind the place is a toxic waste dump. And apparently, Purple's been drinking from the toxic side and gradually mutating. And, well, if Dr. Fred finds out, captures both, he's going to basically eliminate both of them, even though Green's actually quite tame when it comes down to it. And lo and behold, we are called in to help. And this is what makes the selection of characters in the first game really odd. Because in the first game you were Dave and you picked two friends. In the second game you're playing Bernard and two roommates or something like that. Dorm mates. Now, of course, if they were all if they were high school students at the time of the first game, well, then Bernard is at best a college senior. At best. And he sort of got his two bunk mates, or dorm mates, who go to the rescue of Green Tentacle. And of course, Dr. Fred Edison remembers him. All the other characters remember him too. He's actually formed some friendships with them. Forms friendships with Green Tentacle and his band. Which is ironic given his first interaction with Green Tentacle in the first game was to scream in fright. But then by freeing both the tentacles, that's right, purple is incredibly evil. Green, green can be known to stand up to purple. But in turn, Dr. Fred Edison has decided it's time to use his new invention, the chronogon. The plan is to send Bernard and his two friends back in time to shut off the sludge-o-matic before Purple Tentacle can drink from it. Well, the plan goes horribly wrong. And henceforth you must work your way into solving everything. Now, you could put something in the chronogon to send it either to the future or the past. And you must solve things in such a very creative way. For example, you have to use some creative logic. When the one, Laverne, gets sent to the future, she ends up stuck in a tree. Well, how do you get rid of the tree? Well, you make sure it doesn't grow to that size by getting rid of it in the past. And it miraculously, poof, out of existence. And that's one of the funnier things, the crazy logic that is in these games. And it keeps in spirit with the various characters and with some various relevant jokes. I mean, going as far back as even referencing the old adage, if you wash your car, you trigger a thunderstorm. It's, it gets so funny. I mean, there's different ways to reinvent that joke. And they even poke fun at one of the most controversial things in Maniac Mansion. That's the hamster in the microwave. I mean, when you have to, quote, thaw out the frozen hamster, you have to freeze the hamster in the present so it's in the future to help you out. I mean, and how do you get them? There's all sorts of crazy, weird logic that plays out in the game. Even some crazy, weird logic that even downright shouldn't make sense but doesn't. And that it kept with the zaniness of its predecessor. I mean, who else would think think, well, how do I get a disguise for the character to run around in? There has to be a way to do it. Oh, wait. Maybe what I should do is take the diagram for the tentacles in the future, because in the future they've taken over. We didn't stop them. And then send it back in time all the way to colonial time so you get the flag turned into a tentacle. I mean, that kind of crazy logic is just to laugh. And how do you rescue Dr. Fred from the IRS when he's all tied up in red tape? Well, it's going to take some doing. we're gonna have to call on dead cousin Ted. And it's just the craziest of logic that gets you further in the game. And it works so well because it's just downright humor. And one of the best things I like about it is just the offhand way that you achieve some things and the insanity of them all. I mean, that's part of the charm of the series. And you have to mess with history a little bit. You have to think things through. And it's just the craziest stuff that it throws in there. You want to get somebody to give up a vlog? Well, you just got to make it look like President Washington's cold. So you got to give him some fake chattering teeth. Crazy logic, I'll tell you. And that's the only way to really progress in the game is just think outside the box. Use some crazy logic. Do something quite crazy. And that's part of the charm. And it keeps with the neuroses of the characters, all the silliness of it. And it's a great thing. It's a great thing, I'll be honest. It's one of the best things I've had to play. And it's a nice little story. It's a nice one-shot story. It doesn't overtly hint that there should have been another. It's quite possible they might have done another, but you know, I can discuss that more when I talk about the series. And honestly, this is a game you have to play, and much for the experience, and much for the madcap moon logic, and the cartoony logic that helps stand out about the series. And I will definitely mention that. Now, I think this was released first with just text. Then it was re-released on CD-ROM as the new technology was taking over and the abilities it added to it. Well, I mean, not just text, but it was released without voices. And when Double Fine redid it many years later, it again they kept it and even made it look even better. But it's definitely a game you want to experience, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone to play because it's part of what made the franchise great, in my opinion. And that's all I'm going to say about Day of the Tentacle. And I'm going to bring it up again in the next retrospective, which will be for the whole series, because even as far as I know, there were only 2 games made. But until next time, this is Rich Kale here on YouTube, Rich Gen X elsewhere, inviting you to subscribe to the channel, check out the retrospective, check out the gameplay of the games, uh, check out a lot of stuff. Subscribe to the channel, I'd appreciate it. Take care all, and have fun. Bye.